In this short video, I'm going to share with you the top 10 features of expert teachers. First, with expert teachers, lessons are clearly planned. In other words, there is a laser-like clarity about the knowledge and skills to be learned. Now, let me make clear, a planned lesson is not synonymous with a lesson plan. We're not talking about documentation here, but instead about what actually happens in a lesson. What matters here is that the teacher knows what he or she expects their students to learn and why that is important to students. Talking of which, second, with expert teachers, lessons are sequenced. In other words, there is a logic to the order and organisation of lessons. What is taught today builds upon and extends what was taught yesterday and will be built upon and extended by what is taught tomorrow. Prior knowledge is activated and then added to, forging ever more complex schema in students' long-term memory. What's more, sequencing allows these expert teachers to articulate the bigger picture to students, to explain what students are learning, why they're learning it, and what they will do with that learning. This, in turn, helps to build students' intrinsic motivation. It also ensures that students have the knowledge needed to be able to understand new concepts, because we all process new, abstract information within the context of what is concrete and familiar to us. Sequencing, in other words, is a way of helping students to cheat the limitations of their working memory and to make sense of the curriculum that we set out to teach them. Third, the content taught by expert teachers is ambitious, broad, and balanced. Expert teachers have high expectations of what all students can learn, and the knowledge, skills, and understanding that students acquire prepares them for the next stage of their learning journey. The content is sufficiently broad so as to prepare students for what comes next, but it's also taught with appropriate depth so as to ensure genuine understanding and to aid transferability. Fourth, all students are taught the same curriculum, thus ensuring equality. There's no dumbing down or reducing the curriculum for some students. But fifth, those with additional or different learning needs are supported through adaptive teaching strategies, such as scaffolding, thus ensuring equity. In other words, students who start with less, in the form of a disadvantage, are given more help to access the curriculum and to achieve in line with their peers. Student starting points are ascertained and gaps in prior knowledge, and indeed any misconceptions, misunderstandings and mistakes that students bring with them to lesson are identified and then filled. Differentiation does not take the form of giving students different tasks to do or of expecting less of some students because of their starting points, but instead, all students are helped to access the same task. Crucially, any additional support, any scaffolds we put in place fall away over time, ensuring that students become increasingly independent and avoiding learned helplessness. Sixth, as well as knowing the bigger picture of learning, students know how, when and why they will be assessed and how prior learning will be activated and built upon. Students are only assessed, by the way, when an assessment will lead to feedback. And feedback is only given when there is time carved out in lesson for students to process it, to question it, and to act upon it. The outcomes of assessment are used as learning opportunities too, often in the form of whole class feedback on the most common mistakes, instead of simply to draw lines in the sand to compare one student with other students. Seventh, with expert teachers, there are opportunities for retrieval practice and thus the building of schema in every single lesson. Now, let me be clear, the shape and form of this retrieval practice, and indeed when it happens within a lesson, is dependent on the context. But it happens frequently in order to prevent knowledge decay over time and in order to help students to connect prior learning to new learning. 8. Expert teachers have excellent subject knowledge, but they also have excellent pedagogical content knowledge. And they use this to enthuse students with clear and insightful explanations. Teachers are able to use their knowledge to preempt misconceptions and questions during these explanations. And then teachers model excellence and, whilst so doing, think aloud, making their invisible thought processes and decision making visible to students, thus making their implicit expertise explicit to the novice student. Next, teachers engage their class in co-construction, producing a model together. Students provide the substance of the model, whilst the teacher asks probing questions, drip feeds technical vocabulary, and passes the baton between students so they can comment on and add to each other's contributions. Teachers also use questioning in order to engage students and in order to provide ongoing formative feedback to students. 9. In lessons, activities are varied, with teacher explanations or modelling being chunked with questioning, practice activities, group discussions, and so on, which all aid students' retention and increase their attention spans. During these activities, all students, not just the highest performing ones, are stretched and challenged, both in terms of the pace and the pitch of teaching and in the feedback being given to help students to improve further. The 10th feature is that expert teachers show warmth towards students. They clearly care about their students' success, and this, in turn, is rewarded by loyalty and hard work from students. Expectations of all students are high, always, both academically and in terms of attitudes to learning. Study skills are explicitly taught and applied in lessons to help with this. And that's it. For more top tips on teaching, visit bromleyeducation.co.uk. That's bromleyeducation.co.uk. Thank you for watching.